World Financial Group offers entrepreneurs from all backgrounds the opportunity to start their own business on a level playing field. Dr. Yana Woodhouse, receiving the WCM Wall Street Pioneer Award by the United Black Wall Street of America, Inc., is one of those entrepreneurs.
I see WFG and TFA as a place where African Americans with an entrepreneurial mindset can flourish. And the bonus, we help families and serve the communities across the country.
To learn more about us, go to worldfinancialgroup.com.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward-thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.
Hello, and welcome once again to another fantastic Tuesday where we get to share what we do best, that important information that you're going to need to maneuver through this 2026. My name is Tyrone Glover, and I am the Dress Down CEO of Levearge Credit Recovery, along with being the Executive Director of Yonkers Young Entrepreneurs. You can also find our content on Substack, where we are the real ones in the room. And we are so pleased and honored to announce that we have the Wealth Lab and the Lab for short. We are super excited about these new initiatives that we are passing down and making sure that we're doing everything that we need to do. For whom? For who you think it is? For me? No, for you. For you, the public. We know that you are going through it right now, and it's our job. It is our responsibility. It is our duty, and it's definitely my duty as a veteran to make sure that as we move through these next 11 months, 11 and a half months, because we are halfway through this January, but these 11 and a half months of making sure you know what you have to do. In 2027, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you cannot say that the experts were not there. Dr. Yana B is there. Aranita Anderson is there. Tyrone Glover is there. There's a wealth of knowledge and information from professionals who are already in these spaces to make sure that you have what you need. So you can't come to us or even go to your friends and say in 2027 that there was nobody there to help you navigate this challenging financial times that you are dealing with right now. Because I'm here to dispute that. I'm here to let you know, no, but I am serious about welcoming you to the Soul City Network, about welcoming you to Leverage Your Score, about welcoming you to a new financial understanding for you and yours. Let's do what we have to do. 24 and 25 was preparation. 26 is about execution. And 27 and beyond is going to be about building. If you follow this strategy, follow this plan, you are going to be set up for what you need. For those of you who I have not wished already, Happy New Year's to you and yours. And I hope that everything is going accordingly. But if it's not, this is the financial space that you want to be in. Happy MLK, if you served and you honored him and remembered him and recognized his accomplishments yesterday. Well, today is our day to equally share that love and combine his civil rights understanding movement with his also financial literacy understanding movement. So this is a great day. It's a great year. It is a great opportunity for those who are looking for, not just looking, seeking, for those who want to see their financial trajectories change over the next year. And if you do what we're asking, again, the smallest portion of this large amount of information that we're going to give you, the smallest portion if you do your part, you're going to be set up for whatever is to come. And we know that this person in the White House is, ooh, man, is he laying it down? Is he making sure that the poor, the working poor, the ever-eroding middle class, the marginalized communities, the youth of color of every single ethnic group, youth of color, which is our greatest resource, our greatest asset. Is he making us feel it right now? Yes, he is. That whole administration, yes, they are. But as I say, not a political show. This is a show that's based on and for financial literacy, credit, recovery, financial understanding, education. We are doing what we need to be doing because you're going to need every bit of what we're talking about. So with that being said, let's go ahead, dive on into those slides. This is a show where we're going to be doing today. We're going to be recognizing and honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. January 19th, 2026, a tribute, civil rights plus financial freedom, real ones in the room. If you are in this space, then you are part of the recovery. If you are taking part not only in this space, but in your household, in your community, in your schools, in your churches, in your barbershops, wherever it may be, at your local watering holes, wherever that may be, you have to be part of the conversation. So you have to be in the space. You have to be in that room. But this is our contribution to honoring Dr. Martin Luther King. Not only did he do fabulous things, wonderful things, he also equally made sure that he tied in that financial literacy. And that's what we're doing. We're honoring him by making sure that we're doing that next piece. All right, so the lab is open, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you are locked in and you are clocked in. But before we start, got to give that shout out to Soul City Network, which is on a variety of different outlets. Roku TV, Fire TV, Apple TV. Soul City is doing its thing. And I also got to give that shout out to those other beautiful, wonderful, talented individuals equally on this space that also share that knowledge that I share, which is Dr. Yana B. Woodhouse. If you haven't already, please make sure that you are tuning in on Thursdays at the same time slot here for Access Wealth Nation. And there's another contribution to this channel as well, which is Aranita Anderson, P2P. And I wish I could remember exactly what her title is of her show, and my apologies, Aranita, but there's also a morning show where she does a phenomenal job with making sure that we have what we need. But check out Soul City's listing and get engaged with the content, because we got some brilliant, beautiful content that is maneuvering through our understanding, and the only way for you to get it is to be part of the conversation. So thank you, thank you, thank you. But the lab is open. Clock in, lock in. Make sure that you are getting this information. All right, let's keep the ball rolling. Next slide. So, signature receipts, ladies and gentlemen. This is our signature understanding. Our PowerPoints are going to be filled with data, going to be filled with information, but we like to always start off with something that is part of who we are, our DNA. And we're going to be giving you all the receipts, evidence, receipts, data, facts. There's no reason for anybody to say, oh, and you do know me. If you don't know me, you know me by now. I've always tell you, every single soul who wants to challenge us, please, open door invitation anytime. All right. So the absence of wealth education correlates directly with the presence of wealth extraction. Think about that for a second. Think about it for a second. The absence of wealth education correlates directly with the presence of wealth extraction. So these two work hand in hand. Just like I said, politics and wealth, hand in hand. Education and wealth, hand in hand. Experience and wealth, hand in hand. This is not this for that. No, these things work in conjunction. And the more you know how they work in conjunction, the better you're going to be able to relieve, resolve, and come to some understanding of what you're going to have to do moving forward. Next slide, please. All right, so one question that I have for everybody, think about this question. If freedom is real, Why do millions still live one paycheck from collapse 60 years after the civil rights law? As I said, think about that for a quick. Don't jump to it really quick. But if freedom is real, why do millions, tens of millions, and again, I'm throwing it up there, hundreds of millions, still live one paycheck from collapse 60 years after civil rights laws? I wish I could, I say it all the time, I wish I could make this stuff up, but I'm not. But what you're getting ready to find out today, as we honor Dr. Martin Luther King, that both our civil rights and our financial rights, they work hand in hand. Next slide, please. All right, so what this deck is going to be doing for you today, what we're going to be presenting to you, proof, okay? How King treated poverty as a civil rights emergency. King also, civil rights without economic power equal incomplete freedom. We're going to be talking about the receipts, poverty, inequality, CEO pay gaps, housing burdens. We're going to be also talking about what was achieved versus what was undermined. That one for me is huge. What have we already done and what have they attempted to undo? Giving you 10 of MLK's milestones plus unfinished work, because you know there's a lot of it still out there, and the lab's playbook, literacy, protection, ownership. No fluff. We're not here to blow things into this elaborate understanding and then slowly pop it and then the air comes out. No, this is, again, facts, data, evidence, and receipts. That's what we are all about. I told you, 24 and 25, preparation. So we prepared ourselves so good that in 2026, it's execution. And there's going to be a lot of people out there who are going to be upset. They're going to be mad. They're going to be disturbed. I can't believe he's giving away all our secrets. Well, let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. If 15% of the population has so much wealth and 85% of the population is living paycheck to paycheck, all we're trying to do is just get 5. Hopefully we can get 10. But if we take 15 at 5, that's 20. Take 15 at 10, that's 25. That still leaves 75% of the population still struggling. And they're going to struggle because they will not take part in what we're doing here right now. Will not. They will not. They're hoping and praying and wishing and whatever else. You have to be part of the conversation. You have to be in the room, in the space to get what you're looking for. There's a whole bunch of influencers out there. I was just talking to my niece about it. And are they giving that real information? I can be honest with you. I don't think so. They're giving you bits and pieces. Those when the commercial comes on with the cliffhangers, they're giving you little small bites of the apple and then hoping that you come back. I'm giving you the whole apple. The whole apple. I'm giving you every bit of what you need. But it's going to be up to you to execute. And we're going to always be here to make sure that you can execute with all of the knowledge, all of the information, everything that you need. There's going to be no reason why. But let's go ahead and keep this process going. Next slide, please. All right, so the full king. King named the great triplets: racism, economic exploitation, and militarism. All right, those are the great 3 triplets: racism, economic exploitation, and militarism. He moved from integration to economic human rights. Okay, so this is the things that you don't hear about King. We always knew that he was that civil rights leader, but he had an economic platform that he equally wanted us to follow. The Poor People's Campaign, multiracial demand for jobs, income, housing, and dignity. Translation, voters' rights plus bread on the table. Woo. I got to give a clap for that one. Translation, voters' rights plus bread on the table. Both is what he was fighting for. Can we take that to the next level? Can we move that needle further where we can take the 15% that have more wealth than wealth and add another 5% to that? I know we can. Can we add another 10? I know we can, but it's not going to be up to me. I'm here. I'm going to do what I need to do. Soul City Network is here. They're going to do what they need to do. The other great, talented, experienced voices that are also part of this network, they're going to do what they need to do. Question is, are you going to do what you need to do? There's going to be no excuses in 2027. There's going to be no excuses in 27 and beyond. No excuses. This is your year to execute. If you didn't plan or properly strategize in 24, 25, no problem. This is your year now to execute. Next slide, please. All right, so receipts. Number one, poverty is not over. 2024, official poverty rate is 10.6%. People in poverty, 35.9 million people. So the poverty rate is 12. SPM, poverty rate 12.9. Amount of real cost. So we can sit and listen to CNBC, Fox Business, Yahoo Business, Bloomberg Business, wherever you might get your business information. You can listen to all of those TV personalities from wherever they may or whatever they may be or wherever they may be coming from. But these numbers, they're not made up. I didn't just grab them out of the air. I did my research. I did my homework. I did my study. And these are what I came up with. And this doesn't look good. And I'm telling you, you don't do what you need to do over the next 3, it's only going to get worse. Verdict is, freedom without stability is propaganda. That's not hard. Exhibit A, freedom without stability is propaganda. And that's what they're selling you right this minute. Propaganda. You want the facts? You want the data? You want the evidence? And you want the receipts? Well, come back. Week after week after week, join the lab. Get involved in what you're going to have to do to protect your financial stability, to create that financial independence so that you have that financial freedom moving forward. But it's got to happen. If it doesn't happen, as I said, there's no one you can blame. Next slide, please. All right, so receipt number 2. Renters are getting crushed. You heard me say it in the last week's segment, or you might have even heard me say it in the segment before, but this should be called now. I love the fact that it's the United States of America. I'm a veteran. I love this country. Love it through and through, regardless of its flaws and its constant misunderstandings of how it's supposed to be representing us. I love this country, but I can give it all kinds of names. And the name that I have created for it now is the divided states of unaffordability and political criminality. It's playing out right in our faces. And if you don't believe it, look outside your window. Okay, Minnesota is seeing the Great Divide. We have all felt the unaffordability crises that's going on. And the political criminality by the most corrupt administration ever to walk the face of this nation. It's playing out right in our face. Okay, so we're getting crushed, renters. You're getting crushed. I know it. And there is some pushback, but you have to know the legal pieces of that pushback. You have to understand the financial pieces of that pushback. You have to understand who's buying up all of these properties to do that pushback. And once you do, it's going to make a lot of sense. All right, so the property by housing, 10-year, 2024. Renters, 23.3%. Owners, no mortgage, 11.7%. Owners with mortgage, 6.1%. Translation, ownership is protection. Renting is exploitation or exposure. Okay, you're vulnerable when you're renting because they can jack that rent up at liberty. And what do you get to do? You get to pay it or you get to move. And I don't know too many people who want to move in the dead of winter. I don't. So you're forced. And why do you think most landlords, or shall we say slumlords, are jacking these rent up when the dead of winter? Where is the protection from those institutions which are supposed to be making sure that they cannot get away with these things? The lady was just expressing something. I don't know if it was on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, but nevertheless, it was on one of them social media platforms where she was talking about her rent went up $1,000. And then the multiple comments that were coming in, I was like, well, hold on a second. Something ain't adding up here. $1,000? Can I get some legislators to maybe chime in to ask that question? What, $1,000, or to answer that question? Is that even legal? Can a landlord raise the rent $1,000 without any justification as to why? Some types of receipts saying my electrical bills went up, the garbage bill went up, the water bill went up. Something had to go up in order for you to raise that rent for an extra $1,000 in New York State. Kathy Holcomb, please help me out here. Mayor Spano in Yonkers, New York, help me out here. The new mayor in New York City, Mayor Mandani, help me out here. All of you mayors across this whole New York State, help me out here. Somebody sit down with me and help me understand, not just myself, but help others understand how. Got to be some justification, got to be some documentation expressing why an individual will be posting something like their rent just went up $1,000. Gouging is real. It's real. And it's real sad that another human being would try to take advantage of another human being. Next slide, please. All right, receipt number 3, the CEO pay is a crime scene. Our productivity is creating their ability to walk away with more of our hard work and our profit. CEO worker pay ratio 2024, 281 to 1. Are they really doing that much work? Really? You think CEOs are doing that much work? Yeah, they're negotiating. Yeah, they might be sitting around big, long conference tables, spending hours and hours and hours. I get it, but that's why you got into that job. That's why you did what you wanted to do. You're not being taxed on your labor in the manner in which you should, because your compensation is not coming from your labor. Your compensation is coming from your compensation bonuses, which are being taxed completely different. So that rate right there is more because of how they're being paid. But it's still astronomical. It used to be 30 to 1. It used to be 20 to 1. You're talking about 281 to 1. Not a talent gap, a power gap. All right? They're not smarter. They're not brighter. They're not better. All right? It's that power structure gap that puts them and gives them what they need. Our productivity allows for them to walk away with those types of compensation packages. All right? This is extraction. Wearing a suit. King called this out before it went mainstream. In the 60s, Dr. Martin Luther King called this out before it got to this most disturbing level where it is today. And what have we done? We got real comfortable with being consumers. We got real comfortable with not owning stock. We like stuff. We got real comfortable with watching them extract this from the academic facilities, our preparatory stage, our higher education. We got comfortable with allowing employers to pay us minimum wages, and for the states and the government to also keep a minimum wage understanding versus a living wage understanding. Evidence. Exhibit C. Next page, please. All right. The King equation. Civil rights plus financial freedom equals full citizenship. That's not hard. Civil rights plus financial freedom equals full citizenship for everyone. I know we got an immigration problem in this country, but I keep saying it over and over and over and over again. We came in this country, a lot of us, those of us who were born here, but a lot of us migrated into this country. And if you came from that European continent over to this North American continent, and you came through that waterway that came in through the Hudson, you went past something. It's called the Statue of Liberty. And that Statue of Liberty was welcoming all immigrants. So for today, for us to have an immigration problem, I'm still lost at that. Should there have been some corrections as to how? Yes, absolutely. Should we have not allowed, again, we can debate that over and over and over, but you're here now. As long as you're not committing any crimes or doing anything that's outrageous, we should not be seeing what we are seeing right now play out in Minnesota at all. All right. So if you can vote but can't afford groceries, democracy is starving. If you can't sit anywhere but own nothing, or excuse me, if you can sit anywhere but own nothing, integration into poverty. Okay. If schools teach everything except money, the pipeline remains intact. Economic justice is the unfinished chapter of civil rights. All right. Think about that for a minute while I go on my little rant here. All right. Economic justice is the unfinished chapter of civil rights. Think about that. I am an educator. I am a business owner. I am an executive director. I am a content provider. I am a worker bee that does as much as I possibly can to make sure that this next generation does not get saddled with the continuation of $47 trillion extracted from the poor, the working poor, the middle class, the ever eroding middle class, marginalized communities, which are everywhere in this nation, marginalized communities, and they are of all ethnic groups. And the part that really disturbs me the most is that, sad to say, Caucasians think because they're Caucasians that wealth is just going to come to them because they're Caucasian. There are more Caucasian people on social programs than there are any other ethnic group. But yet the finger is still pointed from them at other poor people. It doesn't make sense. And it bothers me to high heaven that our academic facilities are not pouring in to the fact that they can do a lot more by instilling real financial literacy, real content that allows our students to benefit from going to these academic facilities. And I'm doing everything that I can for the city of Yonkers to make sure that those high schoolers, to make sure that those 8th graders through 9th graders, or excuse me, 8th graders through 12th graders I'm doing everything that I possibly can to make sure that that higher education starts to instill real world understandings. And as I said before, if we can mandate sexual harassment, then we should be mandating financial literacy in those workplaces. No ifs, no ands, no buts about it. If we can mandate financial literacy, sexual harassment, don't touch, no says no, then we can definitely mandate financial literacy. We have to start thinking more about what kind of a future our youth, the next generation, is going to have, or we're going to continue to keep feeding that pipeline that has already extracted $47 trillion. You think I'm making that up? Go to the Rand Corporation and look at their data. Next slide, please. All right, so the milestones that we're going to talk about, we got 10 of them from the doctor, the great doctor. And here we are, number 1, Montgomery bus boycott, 1955 to 1956. Economic resistance. Boycott equals financial pressure. Target got hit with DEI as the individual in the White House decided to, well, DEI is creating an unbalance for those on this side and not for those on this side. DEI was just an additive to, just to help out. DEI works for everybody. For everybody. If you go to a black neighborhood, you go to an Asian neighborhood, those are primarily Asian and black. You go to a Hispanic neighborhoods, they should have some whites and blacks. It should be a cultural understanding. If I went down to East LA, or I went down to Watts, or I went down to some other community like Simi Valley, if they got nothing but whites and I'm black, then hey, you should be hiring me too. DEI works for you. All right. The understanding of trying to convolute it and make it into a specific racial understanding is incorrect. But I get it. I understand it. As I said, the great divide. All right. The lab's lesson is blueprint, money moves system. What was won must be defended. Rights without resources are fragile. Rights without resources are fragile. And I say it all the time. If you don't know your rights, guess what? You don't have your rights. They're not there. They're not there. So, milestone number 1. Let's move on to milestone number 2. Next slide. There we are. Milestone number 2. Birmingham Campaign, 1963. Forced the nation to confront violent segregation. It forced the nation to confront. I wasn't even born yet. I was shocked and amazed out of all of the things that I'm finding out just by putting this together. So this is not anger. This is not frustration. This is not bitterness. This is excitement. This is like, woo, yes, now we know what we must do to continue the work of the great doctor. So the lab lesson. Pressure works. All right. What was won must be again defended. Rights without resources are, what is it? They're fragile. There's the receipts, ladies and gentlemen, the receipts. All right. We got to pick up where it was left off. And if we do, we're going to benefit from it. Milestone number 3, please. All right, so the March on Washington, 1963. This was for jobs and freedom. This was for jobs and freedom. Lesson, freedom requires income. $7.25. Now think about that for a second. Since 2009, federal minimum wage has been $7.25. It is now 2026, and the federal minimum wage is still $7.25. And I told you before, might not have been the last show, but it was another show where I told you the reason why the federal minimum wage is $7.25 is because if they really cared, if they really gave 2 hoots, we would be talking about a living wage and not a minimum wage. The reason behind why employers and states decided to, because if states kept it at $7.25, I can guarantee you right now that those states would be riddled with crime. They would be riddled with all kinds of understandings that we did not want to have in this country. And we now know wages are tied to crime. Stores, worked in many stores. Retail was almost my beginning of my career. Those shrinks, they talk about them all the time. If you are in retail, CEOs, you know what I'm talking about. COOs, you know what I'm talking about. CFOs and everybody else, you know what I'm talking about if you're in those spaces. If your shrink is above a certain number, 0.08, if it gets into that higher percentile, you're going to start having some visitors. Or you're going to start closing down some stores because your shrink is what you don't want. And that's why you decided to say, okay, you know what? We're not just going to focus on a minimum. We're going to focus on not a living, but we're going to give you just a little bit more. So you're living on the margin. So we'll keep you happy just enough. But that's the only reason why they decided to raise those understandings. States, you're not fooling anybody. Employers, you're not fooling anybody. And employees, you need to start thinking more strategically about, okay, I'm going to go work for you, but I need to see some increases. If my productivity, and you put your numbers out there all the time, if my productivity can show that I'm doing what I need to be doing, then there should be some ROI on my investment and yours as well. All right, milestone number 4, please. And I know you're seeing that what was won must be defended. Rights without resources are fragile. I purposely left that there because I needed that to be repeated over and over and over, because that's what you need to understand. What we've already won, what do we have to do? We have to defend it. And those rights, these are rights. Civil Rights Act 1964. Legal blow to segregation. Lesson that I want you to walk away with is, but economic stayed unequal. Yeah, we got some rights. We were able to move into some neighborhoods, but that economic understanding, it got eroded. And it became less of a, woo, look at me, I'm overcoming, to a, whoa, where'd the brakes come from? Who put the brakes on? And wait till you see my Black Wall Street version. Oh, wait till you see the Black Wall Street version. I'm about to blow the roof off of some of the buildings. Milestone number 5, please. Voters' Rights Act, 1965. Political power expanded. So we got to the understanding that we now are we get to vote for our elected officials, but what are they doing now? Gerrymandering. What are they doing now? Attempting to remove certain protections that we have from the voters' rights. All right, lesson that I want you to walk away with is not now under attack again. They're under attack again. You got to understand. If you don't understand it, again, if you don't know your rights are definitely going to be taken from you. All right, milestone number 6, please. All right, Chicago Freedom Movement, 1966, the year I was born. Housing discrimination spotlighted. I didn't know that the North was worse than the South to some degree. I had no clue. But when you start doing that homework and that research, guess what? The light starts to come up, that light bulb comes on, and you're like, wow, I didn't know that the city that I live in currently was one of the last cities to desegregate their schools. Yes, New York, Yonkers, New York, big, huge fight back in the 80s. Huge fight. And this is the North, where we're supposed to be all for bringing them individuals from the South up north to have a better life, to come to find out that that life was just as fragile as it was in the South, because certain areas did not want to have certain individuals in those spaces. All right, lesson I want you to walk away with: housing equals wealth engine. When you own, yeah, you can rent for as long as you want to rent, but you're making somebody else rich while you're renting. You need ownership. Ownership equals prosperity. Milestone number 7, please. All right. Beyond Vietnam, 1967. King condemned militarism plus poverty at home. So even though we were abroad fighting, making sure that these other nationalities had what they needed to have, did we or were we protecting ours when they came back? We were to some degree, but not for every ethnicity. Look at me, I'm rapping. Oh my goodness. All right. We were to some degree, but not for every ethnicity. Lesson I want you to walk away with: moral courage. All right, moral courage, approval. Got to think about those things. Yeah, we went over and we did our due diligence and made sure that we freed or gave that freedom to others. But when we came back and we wanted to get that home, oh, where was the approval? Oh, we would put up another roadblocks. When we came back home, thought we were going to be able to go to those universities and those schools. Oh, where was the approval? Segregated. So again, this is a history lesson about what we must do moving forward. Milestone number 8, please. So Poor People's Campaign, 1968, Economic Human Rights Movement. Pastor, I wish I could remember his name, is going to come to me obviously once the show is over, but he's doing a fabulous job on extending the Poor People's Campaign. And oh my goodness, the name is eluding me right now, and I'm so sorry that it's not coming to me, but I'm sure it's a bishop. Anyway, I'm going to keep going. So Economic Human Rights Movement. Lesson I want you to walk away with: King's final mission. The Poor People's Campaign. King's final mission. And we can do better. If you've already, or you haven't already paid attention, I've said it before, and I'm going to constantly keep saying it. our dollar is roughly around $3 to $4 trillion. Black neighborhoods, black community, trillion, 3 to 4 trillion. That's the GDP of California. That's a little bit more than the GDP of Texas. Add Hispanics in there, another 3 to 4, possibly even $5 trillion. Take those two, you're looking at somewhere between $8 and $9 trillion that we contribute to the U.S. economy. And if we were to just snatch that back and say, hey, until you start showing us that same amount of love, guess what? You can't get our bread. Watch how fast things would change. But we got so comfortable being consumers. We got so complacent thinking that a degree is going to get us that good job. No, it's not. That degree, we found out, is giving you more debt. That good job that you thought you had, found out that it was extracting 50% of it if you stayed single. The states that we live in, we're now finding out that the rich are not paying their fair share. I was just talking to a taxi driver today, and he was telling me how tickets is just another means to be able to extract. I'm still trying to figure out, hey, maybe somebody can help me. A legislator, somebody, maybe the judge, when I do happen to get a ticket, because I'm definitely going to court, I'm definitely going to fight it. Ask the judge, okay, who came up with this number of whatever this ticket may be? Who came up with that number? He was telling me his ticket was $250. Got two of them in less than a week. $250. You know how hard a person got to work for $250? And we're just going to give it away because somebody decided to say, well, you were double parked. Okay, I get that you were breaking some form of a law, but double park cost you $250. None of it makes no sense. And when you try to argue it, at least when you try to argue it while you're paying it, you're not going to get very far on that. Because those people behind that counter, they can't give you any legal advice. They can't do anything for you. You're just got to pay it. But if you were to take that time and say, I'm going to investigate this, I'm going to look into this, and then you present that in front of a judge with some valid proof to what you're talking about, that judge may give you some type of leeway. But don't go in there with feelings. Don't go in there with fabrications. Make sure you're going in there with facts. All right, so the mission. King's final mission. That was King's final mission. All right. Milestone number 9, please. Memphis sanitation strike, 1968. Labor dignity. I am a man. I'm sure those of you who are in that same age group that I am, everything that I'm saying here makes sense. You're probably still thinking, wow, had we just continued, had we just moved in that same understanding, had we fought along, and then after he was done, if we continued, we'd probably see a lot better. But we got complacent. We got comfortable. They gave us sports. They gave us basketball. They gave us football. They gave us baseball. If they could have created a heated hockey rink, we would have took hockey too. They gave us golf, stepping into places that were unfamiliar to us. They gave us the racing, auto racing. All right, still primarily being dominated by other ethnic groups, but we're stepping into some spaces because we can do just as good. But my whole point is they gave us rap, they gave us entertainment. They allowed for some of us to come up because we all have God-given talents. But what are we doing with those resources? How are we really building out our communities? And we got to do better. We just got to do better. So again, labor dignity. I am a man. The message that I want you to walk away with. Workers deserve power. If I'm killing myself to make sure that you are making X, Y, and Z, then you got to break me off with at least a little bit of A, B, and C. It's not going to add up if you're not. We can do the math. We go to the same schools. They might not be a prestigious Harvard or Princeton or Yale or Cornell, But we've got plenty of HBCUs that are doing the exact same thing. But what are we getting for it? Milestone number 10, please. All right, assassination plus transfer of duty, 1968, 2026. Think about that for a second. Now, this one is going to be the home run. This is going to be the hit one. This is going to be the one that's probably going to piss a couple of people off. Assassination plus transfer of duty, 1968, 2026. The fight didn't end. It transferred. Oh, you're trying to figure out, well, what is he talking about? What transferred? Martin Luther King was taken from us. Can you imagine what he still would have been able to do, or what gifts he would have still been able to instill upon us? But the fight doesn't end. It doesn't end, but it seemed like it slowed down to almost a crawl. Yeah, we got some groups out there that are doing their part, NAACP. We got some groups out there that are doing their part, NAN. We got some groups out there that are doing their part. But are they really? I beg to differ. Not going to take anything away from this. This is not for me to denigrate, to point fingers, to do anything of that nature. My job is to hopefully empower them to want to do more. Look at those hat wearing. Look at the suit wear. The dress down individuals. Look at the ones who got the tattoos. We're just as smart. We're just as bright. But we choose not to dress up in those uniforms that are accustomed to, well, that must be someone who can get the job done. Because I walk into them schools every single day, and every single school that I go to says the exact same thing. Oh, Mr. Glover, can you come back? I went back into a school that I hadn't been in 4 weeks. No, excuse me. 3 months. Not because of any malfeasance. I operate here, ladies and gentlemen, way above board. But when I walk into them doors, not into them like boom, oops, got hurt. No, but I open them and walk into that building. The love and the appreciation and the sincerity behind, oh my God, Mr. Glover, so good to see you. Where have you been? Why did you leave? There's nothing short of saying that in any context of it's beautiful. When a face like this can walk into a space like an academic community and they still understand what you bring to the table every single day. It makes you want to break down and cry, but I'm not a crying type, but it's definitely a reward. It is a reward that you get to influence young minds, not through indoctrination, not through preaching, not through lecturing, but through sincere content and sincere understanding of what their life is going to look like if they don't sincerely start applying some of these understandings and these strategies. When the 8th graders can grab it, and the 9th graders, 10th graders, 11th graders, and 12th graders, this is not a time for our youth to be getting more in tune, because we've, as adults, have already seen what has been out of tune. But it's never too late for you either. But those are those 10 milestones. Receipts, ladies and gentlemen. Those are the receipts. Let's move on to that next slide, please. All right, so what was achieved versus what was undermined? So the wins: civil rights, expanded access, voters registration surges, anti-discrimination norms. Those were the wins, and we're going to applaud those wins. We're going to applaud those wins. We're going to be so grateful for those wins. But look at the sabotage. Wealth got maintained. Got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. All right, wealth stagnation versus costs. Wages stayed here. Costs went through the roof, and they're still climbing. But according to the man in the White House, there is no, according to that whole administration, there's no unaffordability crisis. Things are fine. Things are great. Yeah, if you got hundreds of millions, if you got billions, and if you keep watching what Elon Musk is doing, he's about to be that first individual ever, at least according to the documentation that we have, to have $1 trillion. And that's just through his wealth, not what his compensation package is going to be, because Tesla gave him a couple of milestones that he had to make sure that he got first before they give him another $1 trillion. Make that make some sense, people. How do we live in a country, the richest nation on the face of the planet, at the wealthiest time frame in our history, and an individual is getting ready to have more wealth than GDPs of certain countries? It don't make sense. All right, but look at that. We got housing inequality. I live in a very rich state. Actually, I've lived in 2 rich states, and I still don't know how I was able to do it. But I have a negotiation skill set about myself. I have a work ethic that is unmatched by any person that I can ever say that I have worked with. I have a certain understanding about how I carry myself. I am grateful enough that I have gone through the military, so I understand what real service means and what a real oath is supposed to execute. And an unlawful order for everybody out there: you should not follow an unlawful order from a veteran, from a soldier. Never did, never will, and you should also understand that as well. All right, voting barriers resurging. Got all these states doing whatever they can to gerrymander. They're doing whatever they can to make sure that you do not have that ability to vote. And I'm almost certain that what the man in the White House and that administration is doing currently in Minnesota, what they have did in California, what they did in all these other states, where they're slowly but surely starting to increase this ICE presence along with this border patrol presence. Reminds me a little bit of when I was looking at something on the news just recently, when I looked at those individuals in the Middle East, Hamas. Well, Hamas, they cover up too. They don't want anybody to see their faces either. So what's the difference between Hamas and ICE? What is the difference? What is the difference between those who are covered up in this country and those who are covered up in foreign and Middle Eastern countries? What's the difference? You got to think about those coalitions. All right, but there it is. Evidence again, more evidence, facts, more facts, data, more receipts about what was and what continues to keep getting eroded. Next slide, please. Next slide. Go. So again, when we are talking about these things that we're talking about, these come from proof, these come from strategies, these come from understandings, these come from everything that you should be wanting. So as we slowly wrap this up, if you got a question or two, go ahead and drop it in. If King was here today in 2026, moral verdict: you can't celebrate me on Monday and crush the poor on Tuesday. Ooh, that hurts. I know it hurt a lot of people with that one. You can't preach freedom while denying housing, wages, and dignity. You can't call it law if it applies like a weapon. Nonviolence is discipline, not silence. Think about that while you're going through your evening, ladies and gentlemen. Next slide. Financial literacy is a civil right. If schools don't teach money, systems do. Ignorance isn't accidental. It's profitable. Debt becomes destiny when literacy is denied. Think about this as you are laying down tonight. The lab exists to end this pipeline. No more confusion, ladies and gentlemen. Next slide, please. All right, so the lab playbook: workforce, entrepreneurship, asset, literacy, taxes, housing. That spells wealth. Workforce, entrepreneurship, assets, literacy, taxes, and housing. That spells wealth. W-E-A-L-T-H. So 1, education, money language. protection, credit, contracts, consumer rights, income, skills plus markets, ownership, assets over liabilities, communities. We build together or we fall alone, or we fell alone. My apologies. I think this is the last slide. Okay, so the receipts, ladies and gentlemen, here's where we're getting a majority of that information. U.S. Census Bureau, the poverty in the United States, 2024. Congressional Research Services, poverty in 2025. Economic Policy Institute, CEO pay ratio 24. Historical Archives, Martin Luther King's Economic Justice Poor People's Campaign. There it is, ladies and gentlemen, wrapped up in a nice bow, extra after Christmas present, something that you can't return, but you can live off and build. This is your Dress Down CEO, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you for making time. As always, I get to do what I love to do, which is make sure that you have the information that you need to be able to move forward and hopefully produce the lifestyle that you want. Took us a little bit of time to get situated today, but I'm going out right now to remedy that situation, and I'm hoping that you, as you get more and more of this valuable information, you do the same. Make sure you go and you remedy those situations. And remember, we're always back here. So join us next week, Tuesday, 6 o'clock. Also, if you have time, make that time. If you don't, join Aradita Anderson and equally Dr. Yana B on their segments as well. We're all talking about that financial literacy, and we want you to be financially stable, financially independent, and financially free. As always, ladies and gentlemen, be safe, America.
We are the sons and daughters of the soul. We are resilient and forever forward thinking. We ask for nothing else than the opportunity to live and to create the lives that we were meant to live. We want nothing but an equal chance at options and possibilities. The same possibilities and options to live out our potential as our fellow man. We want to be heard, understood, and expressive in our reality. We are the future. We are the creative. We are here.